Secret number 11. Most people think that peace will come with the cessation of hostilities, whether it be in time of war or whether it be the normal hostilities that we encounter in our lives all the time. But in fact, peace comes by self-conquest, not by conquest of the world around us. Some people find themselves in a perfectly idyllic surroundings, in perfect idyllic circumstances, and yet have no peace at all, because they haven't gotten the mastery of their own thoughts, their own desires. If you want to win a war, let that war be with your lower nature. The conflict goes on constantly between what you know you ought to do and what you would like to do, between your aspirations and your selfish ambitions and desires, between your knowledge that peace and happiness and love are qualities that are desirable, and your wish to get even or get ahead or express your emotions in a way that will make an impression on other people so they know how you really feel about this. All the various things that draw us out into an interaction with a world that we can't really change, except, as I've said repeatedly, to the extent that we can change ourselves. But self-conquest, in other words, many people think that all I need to do is relax. I've talked about relaxation outwardly. They think, well, if I can just relax inwardly enough. But it's more than relaxing inwardly. We have to recognize that we are at war with ourselves, whether we want to be or not. We have conflicting tendencies. We are a nation of all kinds of different personalities inside, all kinds of different traits, and they are not all in harmony with each other until we can bring about a kind of harmony. Now, self-conquest, usually think of conquest as a violent act, but in fact you can conquer people much better by winning them, by magnetizing them with kindness, with love. And so it isn't as if you have to somehow get your hands on those negative qualities and throttle them, but you need to learn how to win. And one way is to magnetize those qualities with the comprehension that a higher way of behavior will satisfy them too. For example, many people talk about selfishness in total ways that are not actually realistic. They say that we shouldn't think of ourselves, we shouldn't think of self-fulfillment ever. We shouldn't think of being happy ever. We should try to make other people happy. Well, you're not going to make anybody happy if you don't have happiness to give. And nor is it so that you can overcome anything in yourself by just force. What you need to do is when you, for example, in doing something for other people, if you have the idea that it's going to make you unhappy because you're trying to give peace to them, and that it's selfish to try to do it for yourself for any reason at all, that's going against your own nature. That's force. Whereas if you understand that your fulfillment will be greater if you practice an expansive selfishness rather than a contractive selfishness, that you seek happiness in giving rather than in taking, but that in both cases you understand that your real motivation is happiness. That's not wrong, that's good. It's unrealistic to say that we don't want fulfillment. And it's not at all spiritual to insist that I don't want fulfillment, I want fulfillment for others, because we won't be able to give it to them either if we don't have it. So the more that you have of a wish to fulfill yourself through others, including others in your fulfillment, including others in your peace, and so on. In this way, we're magnetizing the essential egotism and the selfishness of the ego, the animal nature. We're magnetizing it to help it to understand that there's a more spiritual dimension, a more spiritual octave, you might say. And that if we live on that level, we're not destroying the lower tendency, we're merely transmuting it into a higher and, in fact, the only possible fulfillment. So self-conquest is important, but not the kind of conquest that comes with bombs, guns, swords, whatever. Rather, that conquest that comes around the discussion table, where you hear both sides and you say, well, look, and you win your negative tendencies to cooperation with your positive tendencies by showing them that this is the way they will fulfill what they want. In this way, bit by bit, as we find that we can bring all our psychological traits into a cooperative harmony with one another, and this comes primarily through the practice of meditation, of spiritual living, and of living, yes, for the welfare of others, but with joy, not with a sense of social obligation or religious burden, but just because this is how you find happiness. Then what we find is that peace comes automatically after that conquest has been attained, the victory has been won, and there's no longer this constant conflict within. Everything is flowing in a single direction. And only then will you be able to find real inner peace.